All right, we're back for episode 122 of Digital Divination.
I'm excited. 122. You know, one of the thing that reminds me is that I'm an employee of Wizards of the Coast, and the opinions I express here are mine and not theirs.
Excellent.
What about those sequence of numbers, 1, 2, and 2, reminded you that you were an employee of Wizards of the Coast?
Well, in that 12 months makes a year, and 2 years plus some is how long I've been there.
There you go. 1 plus 2 plus 2 is 5, 5th edition.
That's right.
Oh,
I don't know that 5 means anything with, I
But
don't know.
You don't. The 5 doesn't mean anything with C&D.
It's
Okay,
not, it is,
never.
it's simply a number.
That
It's a
number has
placeholder
never
number
come anywhere
between the,
near it. Yeah.
nope, between the
Okay.
excitement of 4 and the thrill of 6.
well, I was thinking about something because yesterday, which was Saturday for us, though it'll be several days earlier because we are talking from the future. Anyway, Deb, my wife's work, had a holiday party, and apparently all the weekends between now and you would normally have one were taken. So we had one yesterday.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
I
wow,
know.
that's early.
And it was at
Happy post-Halloween, I guess.
they didn't say which holiday it was, so it was just
Okay.
and more. It's an excuse for her work's all remote, so everybody's all dispersed in the field. And in fact, a lot of their folks live all over the Puget Sound, so it was a reason everybody get together. And like a huge portion of the company came with their spouses and things, and it was at Dave and Buster's. And Bellevue, Dave and Buster's in Bellevue. And for those of our listeners who don't know what Dave and Buster's is, it's basically a bar with a big arcade attached to it, and then lots of TVs for watching usually sports of some sort. And that kind of got me thinking about theme parks, like Starfinder Theme Parks. And so I shared this idea with both Jason and Ron in our Discord, where we do all our prep and planning for these shows. And
Rigorous, very rigorous and detailed prep plan.
yes, and like well in advance of every show, obviously. Too. And so I thought, what did you all think about this notion of Starfinder theme parks?
Well, I'm gonna derail this immediately because also I just want to talk about. Well, no, we'll come back to because what you're gonna say what you thought, right, John? Eventually, we're gonna come back to
Oh
you.
yeah,
What was your intent when you asked the
Okay,
question?
then I'll do it. So my thought was that what would happen if someone went and like bought the license for Starfinder and then made an amusement park in the present day, a la Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the Super Mario one, all the sort of themed theme parks, right? The really IP themed theme parks. And so you were like, come up with a couple rides, and I was like, all right, well, of course, that's like one of the things, like my bread and butter in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I came up with some stuff. One of the immediately for some reason, I think of the river between is the log flume, right? And then I also sort of thought, well, maybe that's too obvious. Maybe it should be Space Pirates of the Diaspora, where you get in a boat and that's the river between to float through, and you get, it's the Space Pirates life for me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was one thing. I wanted to do something. Now I've forgotten what it's called. Oh no!
Describe it.
Like
an
experience?
It's a phrase from Starfinder, a place in Starfinder. Oh, my mind is going.
Should we just start listing off places
Please,
in Starfinder?
if you start listing off places, I'll tell you what rides are.
Octurne.
Octurne.
Epsilon.
It's
go through the A's, the B's.
Oh no, this is the worst thing ever. Anyway, it was it was actually, it wasn't a place, it was one of the books. Tech Revolution, right?
Okay.
Sounds to me like it would be like one of those sort of graviton spinning things.
Oh
yeah.
It's just sort of spin you around and press you up against the thing. So that's Tech Revolution. You could do a ghost levels, haunted house, basically.
Yeah.
You could do like a ports of call, like food court.
Oh yeah,
where you have like themed food.
Here's the Marixa Republic restaurant. Here's the some of the other ones. Yeah.
You could have, how they have like the halls of presidents at Disney World. You could have all the first seekers from Starfinder Society,
There
right?
you go. Yeah,
All
yeah.
lined up and
In
talking about
my
stuff.
tenure, the Starfinders went to XYZ and did the.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So yeah, and if you wanted to do it like throw in a little like interactivity the way that Galaxy's Edge does it, you do like, oh, you come in, you join the Starfinder Society, you're given a like an app, right, that lets you scan QR codes and do things, and then you talk to NPCs that give you quests, and you maybe at some point you go into a thing. There's probably got to be a you remember like the Buzz Lightyear ride. There's a couple other ones. The Men in Black ride where you like
Mm.
literally have a light gun,
Mm.
right? And you shoot at targets,
Oh, I
and
know the one
it's
you're
able
talking
to
about.
Mhm.
score you and how well you did. You got
Yeah.
to have
Mhm.
that somewhere. Maybe it's a
Where you're attacking the swarm. Like
yeah.
the
Oh,
swarm's
yeah, a
coming
swarm
and you
attack.
got to shoot at
Yeah,
the swarm.
yes. This, the Attack of the Swarm ride, in complete 3D. That would be with some great animatronics for the swarm. That would be terrific. I'm
We have
remembering. Good.
what's the place that everybody now I have not played or even read Signal of Screams.
Mm.
But isn't there like some super fancy resort
Yep.
restaurant that everybody gets the invitation to at the beginning before things go terribly,
Yes.
terribly wrong? You should absolutely name a place that and have just the looming threat that something might happen when in fact nothing happens there.
Nothing
It's just
happens.
very nice.
It's just a place where you can get food and maybe some drinks, right? But it could my brain is also it could also be like, um, how the Disney had a Pleasure Island area,
Oh yeah.
which was just a bunch of bars. It was just for like
Right.
for
Right. Right.
adults, right? And one of those was the Adventurers Club, right? And it was very much set like a sort of an old timey
Hmm.
20s and
Hmm.
30s adventure club. But it had actors in it too that were playing parts, and it had masks on the wall that talked and stuff like that, right? Classic Disney style. You could do something like that with I think the hotel's called New Elysium, this asteroid resort. You can have that be
Hmm.
like a thing that turns into a murder mystery every night or
Oh
something, or
yeah.
or
And
something.
secret tunnels underneath. That would be fun
Secret
too.
tunnels
That's how
underneath
you
that sort
got
of
to places. Yeah.
yeah, and so that sort of lead to like a Tower of Terror style ride where there's maybe like a drop into darkness or something
Wow.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds fun. Sounds fun.
You know, there's lots to do. You could have an Akaton themed sort of like go-karts when you're racing around in the dust and
Mhm.
that kind of
That
stuff.
could be pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's anybody listening that has any knowledge of like theme park engineering, like actually does this, and is just sort of shaking their head at the impossibility of all the things
It's not
we're listing.
impossibility.
Oh.
Look, Ron, I played a lot of Roller Coaster Tycoon too. So I think I
Okay, all
have a
right. Well,
little
that
bit of theme park engineering knowledge,
okay.
honestly, and this
I
is
have
all
not
doable.
played very much Roller Coaster Tycoon, so I'm going to defer to your expertise there,
Thank
Jason.
you.
You know what you're talking about. I
Yeah.
apologize for insinuating otherwise.
Well, and I've been to lots of theme parks, so that makes me like a halfway expert too, right?
There
So
you go.
I don't know.
Experience. I mean, if they can do the stuff that they do with like Galaxy's Edge and stuff like that, I think, what I've outlined is not completely impossible.
Yeah.
No,
Except
I
for
think you're
the
probably
buying the
right.
IP and building a
But
Starfinder based
that's not
theme, probably.
impossible. That's just never going to actually happen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's definitely possible. Maybe
Yeah,
not plausible, but it's
if
possible.
if someone out there, someone with a couple $1,000,000 just sort of wanted to give Paizo some money just for the idea of like they don't even like to buy it outright too. They could just let them lease, to create a physical theme park based on one of our IPs.
Hmm.
Of course, Paizo would be like, yes, please do that. That would be so
Yes.
huge.
All right. If it were cheaper than a couple million, maybe we could just chip in and do it.
The problem is then you have to spend at least a couple million to build the actual
Well,
theme
that's where
park.
you get
Or at
investors, you
least,
raise
yeah.
money,
Fair enough, yeah. Get some
Unless
angel
unless you
backers.
do it like the what is that? The Willy Wonka experience. If something went so terribly wrong in Europe, where it's just it turned out to be very disappointing to a lot of people that were
Well,
there.
yeah, that's because they had the AI write the script for it, and then
All right,
also
well that's there you
spent
go.
very little money on like paying people and sets, and that thing was a
Mhm.
kind of a hilarious debacle.
Yeah, I think
We would give fair pay for the work of the amusement park.
I
Yes,
think
exactly.
paid actors like they have at Galaxy's Edge and stuff
Hmm.
would go a long way for something like this.
Yeah.
To have the NPCs in essence, it could be like LARPing. Players could go there
Hmm.
and have quests that they have to complete. And all kinds of stuff like that.
That's true. They could wear a rubber vest suit in the middle of
Mhm.
summer.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very appealing, but there are
That'll be
people for
fun.
whom they would think that was kind of great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is sorry, just to sort of like bring things back to point, this is the sort of thing that got me thinking about Galarian World in the first place, was just having a Valorous costume where it
Mm.
was like, just a big head and clearly it's just, and then just going like, I'm my sword and the shield and just kind of like waving it at people,
And
right?
the
Not talking.
tankard at his waist,
Yeah, and a
and
tankard, and when he waved that around, just being complete. You know how like you think of like Scooby Doo's and Snoopy mascots are like
Yeah.
just completely silent all the time, right? Just that it made me think of that, and oh, what if it were just based on all of Pathfinder? But then
you could
same
have
thing.
like big balloons, like the Thanksgiving Day parade with the huge balloons, but they're like Barathu and stuff. That's all
Oh
big
yeah. Yeah.
inflatable gas bags.
All shaped weird, and yeah, be great. You know, have all the iconics walking around. Be
All
great.
right. So here was the prompt, right? I was thinking we could talk about what a Starfinder theme park might be like. And now we got Jason's take on it. Ron, what's your take on it?
Well, I did. I don't want to sound sort of highfalutin or nothing. But when I heard that, my immediate take was, oh, theme park adventure design is actually sort of a really untapped kind of a type of storytelling device
Mm.
that's used in a lot of role playing games. It's a little bit sandboxy, right, where the characters have freedom to go to lots of different places. But the theme park design is a little bit it's like setting up a campaign that's sort of sandboxy in its nature, but instead of having sort of a bunch of, oh well, I guess we'll wander to see what's over the next hill, or oh, there's a creepy castle on the crag. Let's go to like everything looks appealing and awesome,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
And so the question is not, oh, which are we going to go into the cursed forest first, or we're going to go to the cursed mountains first, or to the cursed coast, or whatever. But it's all fun stuff, right? It's like, oh man, and so you get the players excited about all the locations they're going to go, where it's going to be, oh, we should go to the enchanted pool that can. Make any weapon you dip into it magical. That'd be awesome. I'm sure there's gonna be some guards or something, but that'd be super cool over there. No way, we've got this, the so and so famous reclusive sword fighter school,
Mm.
where if you go there, then you're going to be taught sort of the secrets of sword mastery. They're going to really amp up our ability to fight. Like wait, before we go there, right? And so you end up with kind of a campaign where the players are kind of yes anding all the way through
Mm. Mhm.
for all the different types of sites that you have and stuff that you do. Anyway, so that was the kind of what I was thinking, that sort of a theme park adventure design, or even a theme park kind of campaign design would be
Mm.
like, where the players themselves are kind of driving that kind of little kid holding their parents' hand through the, now I want to do this one, now I want to do this one,
Mhm.
all the way through. And you can have a set of like challenges throughout. You can have an overarching narrative throughout. You can
Mhm.
even have kind of an overarching threat
Mhm.
through the whole thing that is sort of slowly peeled back. It's one of those stories where the characters think they're having sort of a good time at a theme park, but everything is just twisting to be a little more sinister every time, and
Mhm.
they kind of
Mhm.
see what's going on behind the curtain, and maybe it's the threat is a real insidious one that some of the people that seem like they might be friendly, or that are known to be particularly friendly, sort of slowly become more hostile in order to indicate something's going on. You could have sort of a that kind of structure for a campaign. I think could be pretty appealing.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's what I thought when you said sort of a theme park plan, or you didn't say theme park plan. I think you said rides. I think you specifically
Well, I
said
said,
rides.
could each of you think of like 2 to 3 rides, or in quotation marks, so
No, and then
things
mine
to do.
immediately
Yeah.
was, all right, what subplots in kind of
Yeah.
Mm.
a theme park style campaign
Mhm.
would be good sort of subplot arcs.
Right.
And then I probably, as I was going through this in my mind, kind of excited, almost certainly in the back of my head was, yeah, get around to actual rides, like physical rides, because
Yeah.
John will probably want those. Well, my mind never got back to it. I was already planning out the next campaign that I want to run,
Yeah.
and it's going to be great, everybody.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Lovely. Well, Ron, let me ask you this: like, if you were to use Starfinder specifically for something like that, would you take some place that already existed? Would you like, here's a new galaxy or system to play around in? What would you do?
Oh, no. I even thought about this
Mm.
too. No, what it would be, it would be, and there's been some touch on this a little bit, and Drift Christ is a little bit about this, but it would be a bunch of stuff in the drift
Ooh,
Mm.
that
okay.
you go to. The drift would be the location, and because the drift is a place that can pull in
Right.
little pieces of
Yeah.
everything, right? Then it would be kind of a lot of weirdo, oddball, different things, but they're all kind of glommed together. And in this case, glommed might be a thing you could physically walk to across a tumbling,
Mhm.
asteroid or something, but probably it would be something that's sort of a short ship ride to and
Yeah.
from, because that way you can have all the character of having a character Starfinder ship. One of the locations could be, here's some, improvements that you get, some special things or more build points, whatever you're going to get for your ship to make it really cool. And then you can have some, some piece of the terrain breaks away, and then it's a starship fight or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
that's where I'd want to put it,
Mhm.
is a place where do a lot of crazy ideas all crash together in Starfinder? That's kind of in the drift.
Cool.
Wow. Yeah, that that is completely something I hadn't even thought of, so
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah,
Yeah, you could be like the overarching plot is either they're trapped in the drift and need to get out, or something's happening to the drift that need to discover more about and save it, or not, or something. Yeah, yeah, I like it.
yeah, so my thinking was actually completely different based on this, what I did at Dave& Buster's, right? So I'm thinking you're in the future and you have all this high tech and fantasy and magic stuff. What's going to give characters a rush in that kind of environment, right? So you think about when you go to a theme park and you go on rides, they give you either some sort of amusement thing or some sort of adrenaline rush or whatever. But you already got spaceships, you already can fly, you can already do all kinds of crazy stuff. And I started thinking about well, a book way back when, I don't know if it's something you guys might have read or not. You ever hear of Dream Park?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Larry
so
Niven,
yeah,
right?
another
Larry Niven's Dream
yeah, I
Park.
like
Yeah.
I like Larry Niven quite. And then also Westworld, right? So the idea that
Yeah,
you create a artificial environment where you can really challenge the players, and then they can live out whatever fantasies or whatever exciting things they want to do, and you throw in a little Jurassic Park behind that for your animatronics. And so now you have a Vesk who always wanted to go in and maybe go to a Tyrannosaurus rodeo, where you're out there riding them and trying to take them down and stuff or whatever. But you could enable the players to do something that is not necessarily like battling something in real life for life and death, but would still give them that same kind of rush. Yet them knowing that this is a ride for them, you know that sort of situation. And then you
that's
can have
layers.
what Ron was saying is then something could go wrong in the background, kind of like Westworld, where all of a sudden, the creatures become sentient, or
Mhm.
there's some sinister force behind them that turns them from, the player's always winning, even though it's a little challenging, to all of a sudden somebody dies, right? And wait, that's not supposed to happen here. What's going on? And then with the adventure, they got to figure out, what's, who, they got to Scooby Doo it, right? Figure out who's the masked guy running the carnival there and stuff like that.
Kind of what you're describing too, John, is almost every holodeck episode of Star Trek.
Yes, and it could be a holodeck
That's
that,
what-
and I think that's a short. I don't like the holodeck idea because I think it's too much of a shortcut to say it's all holographic. That's why I
kind of it
Right.
was all a dream trope that
yeah. It's like I want it to be like they're out there and they're really they're really fighting the colossi or something, and somehow they have some tool that enables this, and all of a sudden it all goes wrong, and they can't turn off the holodeck. They just gotta
Well, I mean, and like you
yeah
said, Westworld was just the
yeah
thing where you
yeah
go
yeah
to somewhere that's all stuff that is physically there,
right
right? And it's just robots,
right.
you know.
So
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing I was thinking of, in terms of what a ride might look like in Starfinder to really kind of push somebody and give them that sort of rush.
Yeah, I don't know that, and some of those might not necessarily need rushes. No, when you
Yeah.
describe that, one of the things I realized is that, I mean, I'm out here in a very rural part of the state. I could go get on a horse and ride it in a circle,
Yeah.
like a real horse.
Yeah.
That's not going to stop me from going on like a carousel,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
also just riding a fake horse in a circle. Um, so even some of the things that you already do in or can do in your real world are the sort of things that you might enjoy doing in like as a thrill ride or some sort of
Hmm.
peaceful kind of ride in Starfinder. So something like, get into a ride that seems like a Starship trip through the diaspora
Yeah.
would be kind of cool for Starfinder characters, even though Starfinder characters could actually go do that. It might actually be kind of cute for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking like one of the things that so my wife's work has a Portland branch too, and they're going to go do go-kart racing next weekend. That's what they're going to do down there. They're not going to do Dave and Buster's. And it's like, yeah, go-karts are okay, but it's just like driving, but you're so low, even though you're only driving like 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, it feels like you're going really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it kind of be the same thing. Now you're piloting a ship through the diaspora and you're having to do all this dodging of asteroids and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, you're just driving a ship, but it's built out. So it gives you kind of a more of a challenge and maybe, makes it kind of fun.
Okay, whew. All right. Here's how we put all these together, guys. So we're
Oh,
going to have a very popular Starfinder adventure that is about characters who are going to a theme park in world, which is in the drift, and they've got to go to pieces of it
mm-hmm.
all throughout the drift. So it's a little bit of John's idea, a little bit of my idea, and it's going to become such a popular adventure that in the real world, that story gets licensed
Right.
to become the theme of an actual real world theme park, a
Well, I
la
think what
Jason's
happens,
idea.
I think what needs to happen though, there's an interesting thing that we didn't really talk about, is that this adventure becomes so popular that they turn it into a TV show or movie.
Yes,
And the
of
TV show
course.
or
Yes.
movie is where the theme park comes. Almost nothing gets made into a theme park, a theme for a theme park out of I guess no, it didn't. I was going to say Harry Potter, but those kind of that part came out when the movies were popular
Yeah.
because it was all sort of
Yeah.
based on what the movies look like. No, there's almost no that I can think of theme park out there that is solely based on books. Like just like this is the
Yeah, you
Moby
might be
Dick
right.
theme park or whatever. Like they're all sort of the visual elements of a movie or a TV show get pulled into the
Right. Right.
or a video
Yeah.
game if you're talking about the Super Mario stuff, right? But yeah, you've got like I
Yeah.
said, you've got all the stuff at Universal, um, uh, the stuff that obviously the Disney stuff.
So we
Trying to
need
think of
a
something.
Starfinder's movie universe started first,
Yes,
right? And then we need interactive 3D video game that gets based off of that. Then we
I
can
would love
build a
that.
Right.
theme park, right?
Sure, but
That's right. We'll
that'll
just
be the,
those are basically assumed.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why
yeah,
we have to have
yes.
a
We
whole
didn't
legal
need to have that
logic.
conversation. Yeah, yeah. One of the things that was sort of I was reminded of two things. John, sort of talking about your stuff is the
Yeah.
second episode of Futurama where the moon is an amusement park.
Mm-hmm.
Luna Park, and they do all this and it's just basically a normal amusement park that for what could happen in the like current day, even
Mm-hmm.
though Futurama takes place 1,000 years in the future, and they've got like a midway with like stuff, amusement
Old
rides like that,
carnival games.
penal carnival games, and then they have the Whalers on the Moon um, ride, which is historically inaccurate, which is why it's funny. And then the other thing that was when you're talking about Dave and Buster's, every time I hear Dave and Buster's now, I think of um, just sort of futuristic arcades and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that can be in the future, which would have maybe holographic stuff. But then that also makes me think of Blips and Chits, which is the sort of Rick and Morty future space
Yeah, I haven't
arcade.
seen it.
It's just basically, it's just
Yeah.
like arcades machine. They have a virtual reality machines that you plug yourself into and live an entire life, a la Star Trek's The Inner Light, and then you come out.
Mhm.
Oh, this guy, he got a heart attack when he was 45. Ah, you lost. You stink. And so I don't know. I think though, like, in a way, like the world of Starfinder does have all that sort of exciting stuff, like you said, like maybe an amusement park in that would be more, recreational or relaxing, like what Ron had said, like, oh, you're
Yeah.
just getting on a carousel and going around. Maybe it's just something for people who can just sort of like chill out because they spend a lot of time fighting aliens and flying through space and whatnot.
Something like a water park with a lazy river, whatever that
Yeah.
equivalent would be,
Yeah.
right?
The
Yeah.
river between.
Yeah.
We're
There
bringing
we
it all
go.
back.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, right? You think about in real life, I don't know if you've ever talked to like a police officer or somebody, like Veterans Day is coming up tomorrow. most police officers, most veterans don't ever pull their weapon, don't get into big shootouts. There's not a lot of huge, that's a small percentage of people, and not even all of the time. But when we're looking at Starfinder adventures, it's like, man, we're constantly fighting. We're constantly having to do stuff, so we need this sort of downtime, when in reality, that's maybe a small percentage of what they actually do in their real life. It's just we're capturing the exciting moments, because that's what we're documenting, because nobody wants to see they're sitting around,
The boring
drinking
stuff.
Earl Grey, reading the newspaper stuff. Yeah.
The campaign is like the social media of their lives, right?
Yeah.
Where you're only getting specific highlights to tell a particular narrative.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of Starfinder ships and dungeons don't have bathrooms, and that's got to happen. So yeah, you're right. There's a lot of downtime we just gloss right over.
Well, I think I will correct you on that, Ron, because I think every Starfinder ship map I've seen has a bathroom.
Has a bathroom.
I wanted a lot of times.
See, now I'm going to go look.
Check out the ones in the APs, because I would always make sure that there was some sort of bathroom in there.
Yes. That's because it's always funny, because like we're searching all the rooms, and yeah, you
Open
find
the door.
a bathroom.
Oh, it's a bathroom. Yeah, of course, there's got to be a bathroom.
But dungeons, though, like that darn
Dungeons.
abomination vaults, I don't understand how that whole ecosystem works there.
There's a couple of bathrooms. There's a couple of bathrooms in the abomination vaults. I remember.
There are a couple bathrooms in the abomination vaults. Yes,
I'm still running it right now, so it's all still fresh.
Every level, though, yeah, and
every level doesn't need it.
Let's just say teleportation rooms are your friend when you're just trying to get rid of waste of any kind.
No. Some of the levels don't need bathrooms because the inhabitants don't use bathrooms.
That's right.
They don't bathe. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, what's a ghoul gonna do?
Yeah.
What's a ghoul gonna do? Take a shower? No.
No.
You're kidding
All right.
me.
So anyway, that's just kind of a little thing I thought we could talk about. So,
and
we
it turned
did
into 3 different things.
Yeah, luckily
we all thought differently, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's funny. Well, what do y'all want to talk about next time? It'll be 2 weeks, so coming up it'll be our Thanksgiving episode. Really, it'd be the last one before Thanksgiving. How about we talk about 2 things, maybe?
What sides might they serve around Thanksgiving in the Starfinder universe?
Yeah. What would a Thanksgiving? What does a Thanksgiving meal look like at Starfinder? We could talk about holidays in Starfinder. What might constitute those?
So, every world is going to have its own sort of like series of holidays, and every religion we usually do.
Yeah.
A couple of those. There's a lot in there. I don't really remember any of it though.
Yeah, that could be kind of tough.
I would have to do research, and I don't know. We don't.
Yeah, I know.
We do here.
We're pretty off the cuff here. I will say that the more Starfinder strikes me as a setting as extraordinarily cosmopolitan, like intentionally so. There's a lot of different species and a lot of different worlds and a lot of different religions and so on and so on. And the most cosmopolitan places I've ever lived get kind of exhausting with the amount of holidays. Like my kids were getting off in kindergarten when we lived in a particularly cosmopolitan place. They're getting off holidays that I didn't even know existed, but I was expected to like keep my kindergartner home from school because the school was shut down for a holiday.
Wow.
Don't get me wrong, I learned about a lot of holidays, and that was really neat to learn so much about other cultures. But it ends up being sort of a almost every other day is some culture that's important to somebody, and so each individual person or group picks where they're putting their focus for their celebrations.
Yeah, so conceivably in Starfinder, every day would be a holiday for somebody.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just how vast the
who does all the parade permitting on Absalom Station? That seems like it's going to be a nightmare job.
Yeah. So anyway, so we could talk about that. I was thinking we could do something Thanksgiving themed, though. That's what I was where I was going off with that. So could be holidays, big holidays that might be. So if you want to maybe think of a particular species or planet or something, and maybe think of what would their big holiday be. I think that might be fun.
We could just invent some lore too. Off the cuff if we really want to.
Sure. Yeah, you could do that. Pick your favorite planet and say, what you want to do there. I was also thinking we could do something like just kind of what we're thankful for. That's usually when we have a Thanksgiving one, we'll do something like but that can be relatively short.
Especially we're not thankful for much.
Yes. Yeah.
Crumble.
Yeah, I know. Other thoughts though. I'm just kind of spitballing here.
My mind is blank. I've been steeped in a lot of other freelance these past couple days.
Well, you could talk about that then. Share
No, I
some of it.
can't. I
Oh, oh,
can't.
That's
I
in
literally
fact you
can't.
cannot if
I
it's
can't. I can almost barely say that I have freelance. That's
oh,
too much. Almost too much of a
oh,
giveaway.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
It is not too much to say you have
I
freelance.
know.
Come
I
on.
know.
yeah.
I'm kidding.
Because you're not saying for whom
I
and
didn't say for who. Yeah.
systems or
Right.
yeah, and much less hinting at unannounced stuff. Come on,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
that's what you got to worry about.
yeah.
Is it Swamp Core? It's probably
Swamp
Swamp Core.
core. Yeah,
Swamp core. Yeah, I remember.
I know. I keep
Last
getting
time.
these messages. Remember, you can't talk about these things, even the existence of the thing yet. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay.
Oh.
Eventually, though. Eventually.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well,
Yeah.
well, and then let me tell you, if there's somebody who is out of the Pathfinder freelancing circle for now for plenty long enough, the stuff that you guys know about and then gets announced to the public, and I'm kind of seeing it along with the public and getting all excited when everybody else is getting excited. It's a really different feel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, they just said this thing, it's so cool, and then my Paizo friends will be like, what? Yeah, I wrote that
Oh
like
my God.
almost a year ago.
I know
know.
the lead time is so long, from when when
Tell
it
me
gets
about it.
started and it comes out. It's like, yeah.
That would be kind of fun. A little bit of cultural building. Let's plan on doing that. I've
Yeah.
already got
Yeah.
some ideas for what could
Okay.
be significant cultural holidays for
All right.
species or worlds or whatever.
I'm not going to think about it because I know if I think of something, I'll forget about it, and then I'll remember that I've forgotten about it, and it'll drive me crazy.
Yeah. Well,
Then don't do that. Don't think about it now.
well, and here's the thing. Maybe some of our listeners might have some topics that they think
Yeah.
might be relevant as well. And so if anybody gets this far in the video, they can post those things up.
30, almost 32 minutes in, really? Woo.
Well, yeah, maybe some people skip to the end just to see what happens. Who knows?
There you go. Drop us a comment.
That's right. Like and subscribe.
All right. Yeah, we're actually supposed to say that at the very beginning if we want people to do that, but we're
well.
not really trying to push that part. So
You just said people will be skipping to the end.
Oh,
I just
yes.
you end skipper. Thank you.
Yes.
Like and subscribe.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. Again, it's always been a pleasure having the chance to chat with you.
Always.
I'm John.
I'm Ron.
And I'm Jason, and this has been Digital Divination.